Grace and peace to all those that's going to be watching. This podcast is going to be about the difference between spirit opening and spiritual awakening. They are very much similar, but they also vary differently. Okay? So a lot of people want to know what's the difference and are you experiencing one of these? All right? So everyone needs to come close, you know, just relax, take down notes, okay, and try to focus, all right? Your soul led you here for a reason, okay? So there's a reason why you're here. So I'm Anuèl. I am a soul doula. A soul doula is connected to the shaman, okay? I am not a moderator. I am a mentor. I am a spiritual advisor. I help birth you to life spiritually. And I also help you cope with your death of your spirituality, which is the death of the old you, birthing the new you, the death of egos. I help guide you and bring you into your spiritual gifts, okay? I'm about to speak some truth into your spirit, all right? So the first thing, I have notes because spirit talks to me a lot. So the one is, what is a spirit opening? Spirit opening is gentle, it's quiet. It doesn't come in strong. It catches you off guard, basically, when your spirit starts to open, okay? It comes in when the soul is ready to remember. So a part of soul remembering is before you even knew about spirituality, and you was always been curious, but you always led to the evil part because everything wants to put evil on everything. They like to label everything, all right? They also want to label spirituality with psychosis. Well, some people do have psychosis, mental illness. Some people do have mental illness, okay? But when a spirit opening is your soul remembering. So you know how sometimes different days, like we're going to go do different seasons of the month, okay? You start feeling depressed and you don't understand why. You start feeling like, why am I feeling like this and everything? Your soul is remembering a past life you had, a past life trauma, a past life awakening, okay? So your soul is remembering who you truly are. So it's causing your soul to open up, okay? It doesn't shout, it whispers. It comes in gently, but it catches you off guard, okay? But it changes everything. Examples, you hearing your names in dreams, okay? You might be sleeping, you hear your name being called. Feeling tingles at the crown. You sleeping, you're like, ooh, it feel like bugs crawling on your crown, okay? Your heart, you having heart palpitations. Your heart rhythm is out of lock. It's like you feeling a pressure and you go and they say it's anxiety, but it's not anxiety. You feel like you having a heart attack, okay? You being drawn to fire. You being drawn to water. You noticing the air. You connected to the storms. Okay? You are connected to ritual. All of a sudden you revert to silence. And people's like want to say you're depressed, but you're not really depressed. These are signs your soul is opening up. Okay? You discovering your gifts. Once again, you noticing that you're different. And when you notice you're different, people automatically want to label you. People automatically want to tell you how you feeling. This also goes with spiritual fatigue. You hear people say black fatigue, white fatigue, whatever. This is spiritual fatigue. Because when you waking up spiritual, you noticing that you starting your own path. You're not religious, but you find God in everything. Religious, it was made to control you, to lock you in a box, to label you. Spirituality is free. So during this spiritual opening, you start developing spiritual fatigue. Because every time you say how you feel, people want to say, no, spirit ain't going to do this. Spirit chooses who they want to choose. So spiritual fatigue does exist. You get tired because people feel like they own spirits. They feel like their way is the only way. And when you spiritually opening up, you get confused because you have spiritual fatigue. You don't want to talk to certain people because they make you feel like you delulu, okay? Oops. Now, reflection. Have you ever noticed your senses becoming sharpened? Your intuition gotten louder? That may not be coincidence. It may be your spirit opening. For those who are joining, I'm telling you the difference between spiritual opening and spiritual awakening. There's a difference. And between the two, you develop spiritual fatigue. So say you have a gift of automatically writing. Spirit comes through, a spirit chooses you. You start talking about a certain topic. First thing you know, you have those spiritual bullies. They want to know, where did you get this information from? Who are you? Why are you saying this? Like they own it. Okay? They are not the only one that spirit talk to, but some people want to claim it. And it's called spiritual bully. Okay, because they want to know why spirit told you, and they're a devotee of that spirit. How come the spirit didn't tell them? Spirit goes by your heart. I keep telling everyone, spirit sees your heart. Spirit know if you're going to take that and run with it, or you're going to take that and share. God and spirits love a cheerful giver. Spirit loves when you share knowledge. And some people take it too far. Okay, spirituality is not for everybody, but everybody want to be spiritual. Once again, spiritual fatigue is very real. All right. The dark side of spiritual opening. Before the light floods in, the shadow rises to the surface. If you can feel like a divine opening, but beneath the beauty is a raw truth. Okay. When your spirit begins to open, so does everything you buried. So everything you buried, when your spirit start opening, comes to the surface. That's why shadow work and healing is the first thing you should do. Before any rituals, before doing anything else, the first thing you should do is heal. Become friends with your shadow side. What triggers you? See, people, that's why hurt people. That's how spiritual wars, fights come between witches, babalos, isheshes, mambos, hugun, whatever you call yourself. This is where it is. Because everybody want to be the boss. Everybody wants to control everything. Hurt people. So when your spirit start opening, the dark side is, your spirit begins to open, so does everything you buried. You are the beauty in the dark. You are the Rosa Cavera. It's not all bliss and clarity. It's shadow, confusion, ego, death, and vulnerability. This is when you starting to know who you are, because you've been programmed since birth. You was called. So when you went through the tunnel, some people come back knowing. Some people have spiritual amnesia. So it's like you have to start all over again. That's why you fear everything, because you don't remember. The first one of dark side of spirit opening is emotional overwhelm. Your empathic and psychic senses heighten, and you don't know what's going on. You fear them, and also you're afraid people might want to lock you up and say you delulu. But without grounding, it becomes too much. You may cry for no reason, get drained easily, or feel like a sponge with no off switch. It just hits you. Like I said, it comes in softly, and it just takes you off guard. You know how you do something on a ride and all of a sudden it takes your breath away? So you know how you got a little baby and you blow in their face and they like this? It comes in soft and it takes it off guard. That's what spiritual opening is, okay? The second dark side of spiritual opening is spiritual identity crisis. You start asking, who am I? Why am I here? You know, you feel like you're unraveling, because you are. You're like an onion. You have many layers. Let's go even deeper. You're like an artichoke. They have to peel the layers to get to your heart. This is spirit shaking off the false self, your programmed self. Because like I said, you've been programmed since you was in the womb. When you came through that trauma, Your parents or parent or whoever raised you told you this and this and this. Then you start getting introduced to school. School told you what you need to do. You go to church. You was forced to go to church. They telling you what you got to do. If you're not, you're going to go to hell. All this is built up in you. You go into the corporate world. They tell you have to speak this way, dress like this. You have to make a quota. Okay, if you don't make the quota, you're going to get cut off. All this is on you. So when you're going through a spiritual awakening, the spirit shakings off your false self. Your soul is remembering. That's why it can be very emotional. That's why you be like, oh my God, I just want to cry. I don't know what's going on. People act like they can't hear my voice. I feel like I'm unseen. It's because your soul is opening. The third dark side of soul opening is loneliness and isolation. You feel different from everybody. You stick out like a sore thumb. Even people you love. You may pull away or get pulled away as spirit clears space for rebirth. Spirit might make people get out of your life. You might start going a different way because you don't resonate with them anymore. You're starting to see things. This is why your spirit is opening up. You begin to feel everything and no one seems to get you. No one seems to understand, understand you. And it feels like you all alone. It's because you took the road less traveled and your soul is opening up. The fourth dark side of soul spirit opening, energetic sensitivity. Light, sounds, crowds, certain people all feel too loud now. You may feel raw, disoriented, and unsafe in spaces you used to tolerate. It's like, man, you too loud, peace. It's like you changing. The negativity doesn't resonate with you anymore. The fifth dark side of spirit opening, spiritual attacks or interference. As your light grows, so does the spiritual attention, okay? Both divine and distorted. The dark and the light. You may notice more psychic disturbances, dreams, or even jealousy from others because your spirit is opening up. See, people don't talk about spirit opening. They always talk about spiritual awakening. So I'm about to show you the difference, spiritual opening versus spiritual awakening. The sixth one of the dark side of spiritual opening, trigger trauma. The opening spirit brings up stored wounds that you tried to sweep under the carpet, that you blocked out consciously, especially ones hidden in the body. You might suddenly feel your inner child screaming or reliving pain you thought you healed. All right, you healing. All of a sudden, that person that SA'd you start creeping back up. And you can't understand because your soul is remembering that trauma and it's telling you you have to heal that. You have to embrace it. You came back to break that trauma. You came back to break that generational curse. That's why you get triggered, okay? The truth about spirit opening is sacred, but it's not soft. It opens the doors. And what steps through first is often your shadow. This isn't a punishment. It's an initiation. Your remedy for your soul opening is grounding yourself, baby, Pachamama. Cleanse daily, water, incense, sound bowl therapy, hugging a tree, journaling. That's why when people on here, when I do my readings, I give y'all shadow work. I tell y'all to journal. Healing. Why? Hurt people. Okay? Call your spirit back. Your energy, your power, your time, your essence. Call it back. Now we get ready to get into spiritual awakening. I just went over spirit opening. Spiritual awakening comes in raw, real, and powerful. You have several spiritual awakenings, okay? It's fire. It's that phoenix rising. It's that kundalini. It's not gentle. It breaks. It shatters. It burns what you thought you knew. And yet it births the truest version of you. That's how you know. Identity breakdowns. You find out who you are. You know what your soul name, your spirit name, your higher self name. Relationships falling away because that contract ended. It no longer resonate with you. Those people want to stay low vibrational. You're high vibrational. You was called. Some was chosen. Your soul remembrance and purpose is calling you forward. Your awakening is making space for your soul to rise. Now, I'm going to tell you the breakdown between the two. Spirit opening is the inner preparation, like the soil breaking open for the seed. So, soul, spirit opening is you being planted. You heard of the dark night of the soul? That is spirit opening. So, you are the seed that's being planted. Now, spiritual awakening is the flower bursting through the earth. One leads to the other, and sometimes they happen at once. Sometimes because you're so far behind because of spiritual interference, okay? Somebody binding you, someone stopping you, it takes longer. But when it do, it happens both at once. That's why you have a spiritual overload. That's why you have spiritual fatigue. Spiritual fatigue is real. Okay? So, spirit opening is you being planted. You're the seed. Spiritual awakening is you bursting through as that lotus flower. Okay? You're blossoming. There is no rush. There is no time limit. No one's awakening looks the same. Some rise with lightning. Others bloom like twilight. But all is sacred. All right? I had to put that out there. Now, the dark side, I agree with you, I am Burrell. Now, on the dark side of spiritual awakening, buenas tardes. To awaken is to burn the lie you were taught was you. That is a spiritual awakening. To awaken is to burn the lie you were taught was you. People told you who you were. When you go through a spiritual awakening, that's burned away. You be like, I am her. She is me. I know who I am. And I will fight for her. This is when you start connecting with your inner child. This is when you start forgiving yourself. This is when the self-love, self-worth, self-respect come in. When you're going through that spiritual awakening. This is when the people pleasing stop. See, when your spirit is opening, your soul opening, you want to heal everybody. That's when that empath comes through. Okay? You want to be Captain Save-A-Hole. You get drained because no one's coming to save you. Then when you finally burst through, you start to see ain't nobody going to come and save you. Only you going to save you. Only you are the diamond that can cut a diamond. This is spiritual awakening. Okay? To awaken is to burn the lie in you that was taught. What taught was you. What you thought was you. Many people talking about awakening as a light-filled journey, but the truth is, it often begins with a collapse. Because awakening is not just rising, it's breaking. Okay? Reason why I said it's a breaking. All those people, family, loved ones, relationship broke you. And see, God the divine and your ancestors is rebuilding you in front of the people that hurt you. That's why it hurts. You're being rebuilt. You're being reprogrammed. Whoever's crying on here, I can feel it. Okay? And it's okay. The dark side of spiritual awakening is identity death. These are the stages of ego death. There's 9 stages of ego death. If you want to talk about Christianity, the flesh dying. You don't know who you are anymore. Things that once defined you, your role titles, your relationship no longer fit. They no longer resonate with you. You feel like a stranger in a whole world. You feel like you're watching your own self on TV. You feel like a stranger to yourself. The first thing you say is, I don't know who I am without my pain. I don't know who I am without my past. I don't know who I am without their approval. You starting to get rid of that. You starting to say, I know who I am. I don't need nobody else's validation but my own. I am my own best friend. I am my own worst enemy. Baby, you are the storm that they was praying that would pass. You are the one that's arising for the ones that didn't clap for. The one, you know, that one part people didn't clap for you. You starting to clap for yourself. The second dark side of spiritual awakening is ego resistance. The part of you built for survival. Ego fights to change. So it's your dark you fighting the new you. The old you fighting the new you. The dark you fighting the light you. You going back and forth. You may feel panic. You may feel rage. You may feel denial or fear as your old self tries to cling on to what's familiar, even if it hurts. This is where codependency comes from. This is where you trying to fit in a box because it was familiar. This is where you don't like change. The spirit is forcing a change and it hurts. The next one is loss and separation. People start falling away and you think it's you. You think something's wrong with you. You may be ghosted for no reason because your anointing irritates them. Your light irritates them. Your truth irritates them. You outshine their darkness. They can no longer control you. They can no longer lie to you. People start falling away, or they start to judge you or misunderstand you, even by those you love. It really comes from people from family too. Those are the main ones. Your church hurt. You get judged by the church. Spirits make room for your evolution, but it can feel like abandonment. God's rejection is your protection. That's why it feels like an abandonment. The fourth one is spiritual isolation. You draw inward. You starting to say, I don't like people. And you starting to realize why you don't like people. No one around you seems to get it. You feel alone. Even in a room full of people, you could be in a cold crowd and you feel alone because you on a different vibration. Imagine a whole bunch of white sheep and you're that black one. This is the void, the sacred in between where the old dies and the new isn't born yet. You in the dark night of the soul. The fifth one is emotional chaos. You have grief, you have shame, you have anger, you have confusion, and it all floods in once. Everybody say, girl, you need a value, you need to chill. What's going on? Your emotional overload, okay? You're detoxing the illusions of your past and the weight of what's not yours. You release it. This is what you would call a tower moment. The sixth dark side of a spiritual awakening is awakening fatigue. What did I say? Spiritual fatigue. I have spiritual fatigue. Because every time spirit tell me to teach something, I always have somebody coming in wants to start and saying, where did I get the information in? Like, you know, they interrogating me like I committed a crime. That is because they feel like their way is the only way. They feel like spirit should only deal with them, not me. Who am I? That is considered spiritual fatigue. You will encounter that during your spiritual journey. I call them spiritual bullies, okay? So the sixth side of the dark side of spiritual awakening is awakening fatigue. You're tired. You're not just physically, but your soul deep is tired. Everything feels heavy. You start asking, was I better not being awake? Was I better hanging with the low vibrational people? Okay? The truth is, spiritual awakening destroys illusions. And illusions are often the only comfort you know. So yes, it hurts. Don't believe nobody who tell you that it doesn't hurt. Yes, it does. But it's not a punishment. It's an initiation. The light inside the dark. You begin to see the truth. You recognize your patterns. You awaken your gifts. You rise in sovereignty, not serendipity. You rise in your sovereignty. But only after you sit in the ashes of your former self. That's when you become the phoenix rising. And if I stirred your spirit today, because I'm calling in my soul tribe. If you like my teachings, join my soul tribe. You know, like, share, subscribe, okay? I'm Anuèl. I am a soul doula. A soul doula helps birth the new you and help the old you that's dying, spiritually dying, go away. I am a shaman. I do soul retrievals. I am a Grandmaster Reiki Violet Flame healer. I am a hypnosis. I am that spiritual advisor. I am that spiritual friend. I am the one that will lend you my ear when you're going through something. Once again, and this is the Lotus Effect. Until next time, bloom on, baby. Bloom on. Exactly. So I send y'all peace, love, and light. I'm only going to tell you the truth. I cannot tell you no lie. All right? So bloom on. Peace.